All right, we got some interesting polling information. I think that's the proper word for it. So CTV had Nick Nanos on, and he says that support numbers for Pierre Poilievre is plummeting after the federal election loss. Interesting. Let's have a look at this. But before we get into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really helps grow the channel. And thank you very much for all of you who do.
It's been 2 weeks since MPs returned to Parliament Hill following the snap election, and Nick Nanos joins us now to break down the numbers, see who's doing well, who's not doing so well, and all that. Nick, good morning. How are you?
Good to see you, Roger. How you doing?
I am good, thank you. And I should mention, of course, you are the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. But you knew that.
And I'm also your sidekick on Saturday mornings.
No. I'm following you. Let's talk about ballot support right now. Where's everybody sitting?
Well, you know, the thing is, Roger, we had a really close election when it came to popular support. And actually, the numbers between the Conservatives and the Liberals were tight coming out of the election. But fast forward now in the last 4 weeks, the Liberals are starting to pull away from the Conservatives. We have the Liberals at around 42%, the Conservatives back at 36%, NDP at 11%. So, you know, now what was a dead heat between the Liberals and the Conservatives now has a Liberal advantage, about 5 to 6 percentage points.
And that is...
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think if you were to go back a couple months before the election, I think this is what Nanos had then too. I think it was around there. And usually the Nanos, although I think his last poll that he put out was pretty accurate before the election, but usually he has Liberals ahead of the Conservatives. Even when Pierre was up by a lot, when Justin Trudeau was still Prime Minister, Nanos had it closer than pretty much any other pollster. He still had a big lead for Pierre, but not as big as every other pollster. So, again, I don't know what exactly this means. I've seen polls that say that Pierre's doing better. I've seen polls like this saying he's doing bad. You know, again, I've also seen polls with under 1,000 participants, which is a very small sample size. It's hard to say, but I mean, let's be honest here. People haven't figured out who Mark Carney really is yet. It's only been a month. And I got people in my comment section telling me the guy's doing a good job. I mean, okay, I guess picking the same cabinet as Trudeau and making the same promises as Trudeau and, you know, not releasing a budget until the fall. I guess those are good things. Removing retaliatory tariffs against Trump. I guess they meant elbows down by elbows up. I don't know what they mean, but people just haven't figured it out yet. It is interesting, though, that the Conservatives go down almost 3 points from Nanos' poll, but the NDP goes up 2.6%. I find it hard to believe that people are leaving the Conservatives for the NDP, although, to be fair, people hated Jagmeet Singh a lot, so, I mean, I guess it could be happening, but I also don't think you're going to have a lot of people too enthusiastic about taking polls right now. That's not to say the Liberals aren't ahead. It is fair to believe that they're ahead 4 or 5 points right now, because the election just happened. I believe that. Canadians have been fooled. It's not going to, the truth isn't going to come out about him a month later, right? It took Canadians 10 years to figure out Trudeau. Now, I don't think that's going to happen this time because things need to happen really quick. Trudeau inherited a Canada that was pretty good already and just ruined it. Mark Carney is inheriting a much worse Canada, so he's got to get moving really quick. So it's not going to take 10 years for Canadians to figure this out.
Is a big difference when it comes to an election. But the NDP also kind of sneaking up a little bit too, get back into their normal territory, not quite normal territory, but heading up.
Yeah, why don't we, Roger, call it subnormal? Because usually they're in the mid-teens, right? So now they're at 11%. They're up 3%, 3 points at least over the last 4 weeks. Bloc is at 7, Green at 3, but a little bit of positive movement. And you know, the other thing, Roger, we know historically parties without leaders sometimes do better than parties with leaders, right? They're a little more popular. Nothing to repel people.
All right, let's talk about the leaders. Poilievre's numbers are down.
Wow, actually, this is the big news from the weekly tracking from Nanos. Pierre Poilievre's numbers as preferred prime minister have plummeted in the last 4 weeks. You can see he's dropped 12 percentage points in 4 weeks. This is quite significant. Mark Carney now has a pretty comfortable, significant advantage. 47% of Canadians give him a tip of the hat as the person they would prefer as prime minister. Pierre Poilievre at 28, so almost 20 points back. Blanchet at 4, Davies at 3, May at 2. But the big news is Pierre Poilievre's numbers as preferred prime minister plummeting now in the wake of the federal election, and now him trying to seek, or will be seeking, a seat back in the House of Commons
and that's
in order to get back in the fray.
Sorry. And that's a big part about this here. So Pierre's not in the House of Commons right now. I think a lot of people think he's going to leave, although that's not likely to be true. They're not hearing him speak right now. There's less enthusiasm for him. It's not like, I mean, listen, a lot of people are of the opinion that he lost his riding and he should be removed as leader. Well, the Conservative Party doesn't want to remove him as leader, and he doesn't want to resign. Therefore, he's going to be the leader. The guy did better than most other Conservatives by far, but when the NDP plummets and goes over to the Liberals, no Conservative Party is going to beat a Liberal if that happens. It's just not going to happen. But when Pierre Poilievre gets back in the House of Commons and he starts going at it with Mark Carney, and Mark Carney fails to deliver on his promises, you'll start to see things change. So, I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, these numbers are obviously they're not good news, but again, it's like I made a poll I think last week saying that Pierre Poilievre was ahead because that's what a poll showed. But again, it's also very early. We're not going to an election anytime soon, unfortunately. Or I shouldn't even say unfortunately, because if we went to an election, say in October or November, I mean, I don't think that's going to be enough time for people to change their mind on Carney. It's probably going to take a year or two. And I know a lot of damage could be done in a year or two, but that's likely what we're looking at right now.
I imagine there are some discussions going on in Conservative back rooms.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not good news for Pierre Poilievre. The Conservative caucus has generally been supportive of Pierre Poilievre getting back into the House of Commons, but it just speaks to the situation where not only did Pierre Poilievre and his party win fewer seats than the Liberals, him losing his seat, him not being in the House of Commons, him not having the same type of profile as during the election has really hurt him. It's going to be interesting to see whether he can recover from this. It's too early to tell, but not good news for Pierre Poilievre and his leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada today, at least.
Okay, let's talk about issues. What are the big ones?
Well, jobs is now really starting to ramp up. You can see that's the top national issue.
I mean, we kind of figured out, like, jobs, Trump, of course, healthcare, housing. This isn't really anything new there, so we can stop the video. But it is interesting. You see these numbers at 28.4% for preferred prime minister. It's not good news. It looks bad that he lost his riding, and yes, there's reasons for it. Bruce Fanjoy lied through his teeth to people, telling everyone who's a person of color in that riding that Pierre's going to deport them. The border riding also changed. So, I mean, that didn't help him. There's a lot of government workers in that riding, and that didn't help him, right? When you say that you want to make the government smaller, government workers aren't going to like that, although at least he told the truth in his campaign. Now, a lot of people said, well, his border changed, but it actually went more conservative. Well, how is that possible? I mean, it went, there's a lot of conservative voters there, but the Liberals showed up in droves, and the NDP supporters abandoned their party. Not to mention, the lies of the Liberal Party, saying things that are just not true about Pierre Poilievre. There are things you can criticize about him, but saying that he's going to deport every person of color just like Trump, that's just lies. That's taking advantage in a situation where Canadians are fearful, and when you're scared all the time, you don't think critically. Fear disables that part of your brain. And it worked. Are these numbers going to hold up? No. Is it way too early? Yeah, sure. But I do like, I don't know, I like numbers, I like analytics, things like that, so I do cover polls, even if they're bad news. But that being said, could be a hell of a comeback story too, right? Losing the election, losing your seat, and then all of a sudden you're back, your numbers start to climb, the NDP's numbers also start to climb, Mark Carney's lies and his failed promises catch up to him, and boom. Who knows, 6 months, year, 2 years, things could all change. But either way, I want you to let me know what you guys think of these numbers. I can't wait to hear your comments on this. And also let me know what you think about Nick Nanos. I'm not a huge fan, obviously. Either way, let me know what you think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, and I'll be back shortly with a new video.